girl is taking a bath. When the man sees her, he undresses and slowly approaches her. The girl smells him and quickly touches the stone. The man tells the girl not to move. He firmly pushes the whip-like creature down. The creature is very thin, but can lift a grown man. Fortunately, the girl returns with a knife and cuts the creature's roots, averting a crisis. After a brief treatment, the men take the creature away and turn it into a weapon. They're on a dangerous planet, and they're strong enough to get out alive, but they're not survivors in distress. They're criminals. 1,000 years ago, the first Earth refugees arrived on this planet. The soil here is pure titanium. Although plants can't survive here, there's plenty of oxygen and sunshine. The first cities were quickly built. People use artificial intelligence to manage everything and make society more efficient. From time to time, the ship would transport a group of criminals to be held here. Criminals generally serve their sentences in prison, but the most vicious are banished to the swamps outside the city. The monsters there attack humans with great ferocity. Criminals prefer to be hit by bullets. The prison takes the criminals to the swamp and gives them survival equipment. Everyone struggles to find food. Christy hasn't been there. She's so common that she was sentenced to exile because she didn't want to marry the husband assigned to her. At this point, the vicious Moshes threatened everyone to obey him or not leave alive. Moshes gave Christy some food, but Irvin didn't want the groceries, only the empty box. Moshes was happy to know that Irvin didn't want food and threw the box at him. An hour later, the border post deployed a turret and threatened the criminals to leave. Irvin dragged the suitcase and left. Christy looked at the other criminals and decided to follow Irvin. Both struggled to walk with the suitcase. The lighter Christy leads the way, and even when she gets stuck in the swamp, Irvin pulls her up. Just then, a woman comes running up to her, indicating that there's a cave ahead. When the woman is stared at by Irvin, she takes off her jacket and shows off her figure. However, her behavior is suspicious. The next moment, the mysterious man finally shoots. The woman was just a decoy. Fortunately, the swamp's magnetic field is very turbulent. The ray gun's trajectory is deflected, making it difficult to reach the two men. They crawl out of Mystique's reach and keep moving. Masha soon follows, asking Irvin to hand over the case. The others try to surround Irvin. Then Irvin, wanting to frighten the men, breaks their weapons with a whip. This frightened Mashas. The two men packed up and went on their way. Shortly afterwards, Irvin noticed something unusual and told Christy to stay down. By now, Masha's group was in danger. Countless tentacles emerge from the ground in search of a target. It's a creature from the planet Titanium, the tongue of fire. It's slender, but its razor-sharp body is made of titanium. Mashas tells his men not to move, but it's too late. The tentacles have transformed into bodies and are coming out in search of prey. Two of his men have been caught. Mashas tells them to cut the ropes and stay put. The tongues of fire use vibrations to determine their position. The tentacles are about to touch the old man, but the men are so frightened that they quickly flee. Tongues of fire caught their prey and retreated underground. The area will be safe for the rest of the day. Irvin lights a campfire and begins to rest to regain his strength. Christy is fast asleep. Irvin doesn't wake Christy, but goes off to explore the surrounding area. Just then, the earth suddenly begins to shake. Countless tiny insects fly into the area. Tiny insects are the real top of the food chain on planet Titanium. Christy got up and tried to run away, but when she got to Irvin, she was swept along by the tide of insects. She looked at the frightening insects and didn't dare move. Irvin crushed the insects with his whip and pressed Christy against the metal box. The wave of insects quickly flew over the surface and devoured many things. Although the box was eaten away, they weren't hurt. They survived. It was then that Christy began to suspect Irvin's identity. Because a first-time visitor to the planet Titanium doesn't know the place, Irvin could only confess the truth. He was an advisor to the AI and was exiled because he didn't like the AI's behavior. The AI couldn't kill Irvin directly. It had to set a trap for him, but Irvin installed a virus in the system before leaving, and the virus is about to take effect. Then the two men continue walking. Mashas and the others had to walk slowly. After 3 hours, Mashas tells everyone to rest, but the woman doesn't want to rest and cuts the rope, saying that if she wants to leave, she'll have to follow Irvin. Mashas tries to follow the woman, but falls into the swamp. After being rescued, Mashas finds the woman and realizes that Irvin is a consultant for the AI. Mashas then tries to kidnap Irvin and leave town. While Mashas is in a state of shock, the woman frees herself and escapes. She suddenly falls and her right foot is enveloped in mycelium. She tries to free herself, but the fungus is made of titanium, and although it's very thin, it's stronger than adamantium wire. After struggling for a while, the woman was enclosed and disintegrated into nutrients. Mashas led his men in pursuit of Irvin. When the man saw the backpack, he thought it contained food, but when he opened it, it was sprayed with powder. These were fungal spores. The man was disintegrated before he could even begin to scream. They continued on their way, but when he turned around, he He was knocked unconscious by Matthias' dart. Matthias then takes Irvin back to the city for acquittal. The AI doesn't want to reveal the secret and sends soldiers to deal with all the criminals, but the soldiers don't realize how dangerous the swamp is and are soon devoured by tons of fire. Meanwhile, the captain sees Matthias and attacks him directly. The captain uses a penetrometer to find Christy and threatens her to find Erwin. At the critical moment, Masha sneaks up behind the captain and attacks him, and then to make out, Masha pulls on his hat and closes his eyes. The survivors then board the floating island and continued down the river to Happy Island. From there, they were able to leave the titanium planet. The floating island has a limited carrying capacity and will soon sink. One of the companions was shot and felt he couldn't survive, so he jumped into the river to keep the other alive. That's when the AI-controlled drones set off in pursuit. They activated their weapons and took aim at the two men, but the next moment, the drone falls into the water. The virus installed by Irvin had worked. Shortly afterwards, the two men landed on Happy Island, but it's not as lively as Christy thought. It's just black sand. But Irvin doesn't panic, because he knows why. Happy Island is in fact an emergency evacuation point. He enters the right code and the hangar door opens. A spaceship is parked inside. The two of them eventually take the ship and leave the dangerous planet.